Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to our online service and chit-chatting with you. I'm Jason Burkhardt. This is...
Michelle Cobble.
Michelle, what are you doing here, Michelle?
Well, you and I are just going to have a conversation today. Drink some coffee.
So,
Have a visit.
what kind of coffee is that, by the way?
Oh, man. This is actually a messed up coffee that my friend bought me. She was doing it for National Coffee Day.
Yeah.
She bought me a bag of coffee and she thought it was her favorite while she was talking to the barista about what is your biggest seller. The barista told her. The barista thought she was supposed to give her bean coffee of the what everybody loves. So when I got it home, I'm like, wow, this has a hazelnut flavor. She's like, no, it doesn't. Yes, it does. It was a mistake, but it's a good mistake.
Good. So you're enjoying it.
I like coffee.
So, last week we talked about some lies that we believe, and it changes how we live. One of them I was going to share was, it's not a coffee bean.
What?
Look at your facial expression.
It is a bean.
It is not a bean.
Okay.
It is a nut or a seed. So it should be coffee seeds. Wow. I learned something. But I don't know why people call them a bean. Because they look like a bean?
They look like a bean.
Yeah.
I actually threw one of these beans in my mouth just to make sure that... Do you know how they flavor beans?
No.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They soak them in...
Put them in an oil and they tumble them and I couldn't taste it still, but anyway.
So, coffee seed.
On my coffee seed.
Yeah. Just as I have a ring to it though now. So.
No.
So anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. We're doing a new sermon series called Drawrings. And yes, I mispronounced it on purpose.
You do. And then now I can't say drawing. I say drawing.
Yeah. So last week we talked about triangles, which you may have saw online. This week we're going to talk about circles. So I'm just going to ask you a couple questions. That's not a circle. So, do you know what an epiphany is?
Yes.
Yeah. What it was?
It's something maybe that in your mind you had a different perception of it, and then all of a sudden you get a truth that just goes...
Like a coffee seed.
Is a seed and not a bean.
Mind blowing.
Wow.
So, most of us live on this thing we call life. I say most because some people are crazy like Micah. We live on this lifeline, so we're born and we live life, and life's going this way. And every once in a while, something happens in our life, and it completely changes our direction or our understanding of that life. So I just kind of indicated those by these little marks. I want to call these God moments, because I think most people out there even have a God moment, had something supernatural or spiritual happen to them. Sometime, or maybe a lot of times, we just disregard them. But we have these God moments, and I'm just going to indicate it by a circle, because there's like this tangent here that happens. So we live in this physical world, this space-time continuum, and I want people to understand, like, there is something that happens in our life, which is probably an epiphany. We'll call this just a God moment. Oh, how do you spell a moment?
Oh my goodness, that is not right, but we get it.
Moment.
You're a preacher, not a speller.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody knows how smart I am now. So we have these God moments, which are a huge deal. So you can think of this as like a firework blowing up. And when you look at your life, like you can look back at these moments and say, well, something happened here. Something happened to me. And all of a sudden your idea of God or yourself or even others changes. So my question to you, Michelle, is have you had any of these God moments that have happened to you that have changed the trajectory of your life?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. How long we got?
We got 10 minutes.
Do you want one specific?
Yeah, or that one that you're willing to share. Maybe a specific one.
Sure. So most people may not know that I've lived in Olney now 30 years, but prior to living in Olney, I lived south of here, and I was previously married. And I got married when I was young. I got married when I was 20 years old and thought I knew everything there was to know about being a married person. Year and a half, 2 years into the marriage, it was falling apart. The wheels were falling off of the wagon. I thought I was doing everything that I needed to do. But the marriage failed. So at 24 years old, I became a single mother because during the time that we were married, we had a child. And so my entire universe changed at that point. Mm-hmm. The direction I thought my life was going was different than what I had set out for. And probably right about there, when you're starting to go up this hill and around, I'm pretty mad at God right in here. Because I just didn't understand, more like I wasn't listening to him, how I was going to get through that moment. Mm-hmm. But took myself back in and opened up my heart, my mind. I listened to him. And he said, this is not your end. This is your new beginning. I'm taking you in a different direction and you have to trust me.
Yeah, that trust is always a big deal.
Big deal. It's hard.
Yeah.
You don't want to. You're thinking you should have been here. Where were you when I was here? But it's not my will, it's his.
So how's that situation, how's that changed you, especially in relationship with God and faith?
To listen a lot more to him and stop doing what I think's best. I shut my ears down, I shut my heart down, because he's never stopped talking to me. I've chose to stop listening to him at points. Mm-hmm. And what he does for me, he sits quiet. He'll sit quiet and he's there and I think he's not there, and then I get mad again and I do things that I'm going to show you I know better than you do. And then he will draw me back in. Prayer. I've learned to pray a lot more. I don't feel like I'm a great prayer. Is that a word? Prayer. I struggle still, I think, with that. Some things you've been talking about, though, in the series that we just went through, dangerous prayers. Your will, not mine. And send me. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes he sends me places that I'm like, nope, not going there. And then it's quiet. I think it's quiet, but he's told me what I need to do and how I need to push forward. And then when it gets quiet, I know he's sitting waiting on me. So I'm trying to be a better listener.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you about one of my moments. So right after I got out of college, actually while I was in college, that's more of an oval than a circle, but it works. I got into ministry because I love God a lot. I love people. And one of my first part-time ministry during college, I served cookies to the kids in children's church. And I had a parent afterwards come start berating me and yelling at me in the hallway, telling me how awful of a pastor I was because I served cookies in children's church. And I couldn't understand. And because she was yelling at me, I started yelling back. I'm not a yeller. And so we had this stupid argument in church about cookies. And I remember going home thinking, if this is church work, I'm not interested. But then I remembered, I love God, I love people, and am I going to choose to love people even when they're yelling at me in the hallway? Oof. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So from that moment, my perspective on, my thought was Christians were just perfect, and I thought this could be a joy, all these perfect people getting together, all working, together towards an end. That was my thought of Christianity and church. And I realized, no, church people are also broken, and they sin, they make mistakes. And so ever since then, I've always looked back at that person thinking, oh, I'm going to choose to love you, even if you're yelling at me in the hallway. Mm-hmm. And so this moment, God moment, it changed me, changed my understanding, but all the time, and we may have small moments or big moments, where God comes along, eventually this life where we think we're living on this space-time continuum, it doesn't look as important. What's really important is these God moments that change us. And like you could have chose to completely reject God in that moment. Right? God, you left me? Why me? Why would you possibly do this to me or allow me to do this? Same thing with me. I could say, I'm not working with church. They're crazy. A bunch of nutcases. And some people, they've gone that route. So what would you say to somebody who, they start this and then they just go out and then they just stay on here? What would you say to somebody like that?
Well, not one person is everybody. I've had a couple of friends who I've invited to church that have been in church that believe in Jesus. I know they do. They don't come to church. Why don't you come to church? Well, because this one time, this one person, I'm like, yeah. One time, one person, and that's not everybody. And maybe that one person at that one time was having a day, and you got the raw end of what was going on in their day. But as Christians, it would be great if our life was this perfect and straight, right? And at the end of this, then we just go to heaven. But God's building us through all of this to get us there.
Yeah. These are all growth moments. I learned to trust God in them in a deeper way. I understand people better.
And so, they hurt.
Yeah.
They hurt.
Yes.
It's not without growing closer to God, though.
Yeah. So I read last week, John 10:10. The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. His favorite thing would be if you bailed out.
He would love that.
He wants to steal, kill, and destroy these God moments, right? And then Jesus right after that says, I have come to give you life and give you it to the full. Like, this is a full life when you look at it. And I'm hoping that we start looking even for opportunities where, like you said, where God is speaking, and we enter into those moments. Jesus also talked about, I'm going to die daily. He wants you to die, take up your cross daily and follow him. That is these moments. This is the full life right here. This is the abundant life. God doesn't want you to live in a life of, this is awful. He wants you to live in a good life. So, if you're joining us, if you're logged in, I just want to say, live these God moments.
Yes, sir.
It's a good life.
It is.
God designed you for this purpose, for even these hard moments. So, yeah, do that. If you ever got questions, we would love to hear from you. You can message us, talk to us, call the church, whatever you want to do. We're here for you. Want to see you live this type of life, especially if you're struggling and you think God has left you. He hasn't left you, but he does love you.
Yes, he does.
So let me pray and we'll be done. God, I thank you for opportunities that you give us. Even like right now, people watching this video, I pray that you will work with them, help them to understand that you do love them unconditionally and you have a grand plan for their life. So God, help them to seek you and to seek righteousness. Pray this in your son's name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.